Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics. Today on Soft Plastics 101 we are talking UV. So the theory behind UV is that humans do not see the UV reactive qualities of lures, so we need this black light here so that we can see which plastics and jig heads and things react to UV light, while fish on the other hand have UV receptors in their eyes that allow them to detect UV light. So the theory is by having UV in our lures, it makes them easier for the fish to detect them. So of course that makes them especially effective when it's overcast conditions, low light. Our plastics are a bit deeper in the water where the UV light still penetrates, and also when the water's dirtier or tannin stained, then that UV quality can come into its own. So for decades, anglers have stumbled onto the UV thing through things like glow bugs for the trout and the salmon fishery, where they found those fluoro bright colours caught more fish. And nowadays we generally mix our kit up with a selection of UV reactive and non-UV reactive lures, and I'll talk to you a bit about why, show you some of the UV colours, and we'll hit a few with the black light. So you can see here, that's our motor oil colour, and even in the camera there you can pick up when I hit that with a black light, that UV colour in there absolutely pops. So that's the motor oil colour, which is probably the most well-known UV reactive colour. It's definitely one of our most popular colours in our plastics. It's a great seller, super effective plastic, won a lot of comps for brim and bass and all sorts of things, and it's definitely one of those go-to colours. Maybe it's because of those UV reactive qualities. So let's have a bit of a look through it. So in our range, we have a bunch of colours. So something like a bloodworm is very popular in a grubs, and motor oil is very popular in a grubs. One is UV reactive, one is not. So why are they both so popular, and why are they both so effective, and why have they both won a bunch of brim tournaments? So a lot of chat to our pro anglers about UV and UV lures and the colours they use and all of that sort of thing. And it appears that predominantly in clear water, shallow water, bright conditions, the guys will often go for a natural bait fishy looking colour, and a lot of those are not UV reactive. So say a bad shad or a bloodworm or a green lantern, those colours are realistic natural baitfish colour, and they don't have that UV pop. So maybe that UV pop is too much in those bright conditions, that shallow clear water. Whereas switch it up to a bit dirtier water, darker conditions, and that motor oil and those UV colours tend to dominate. So, and also the fluoros. The fluoros will also react with that UV light so that the fish can pick that up with their receptors in their eyes. So for me, and my takeout on UV lures from the experiences I've had over the years is, like I said, with colour itself, it's important to have a few different colours. You want that light natural baitfish colour for those bright days, those clear conditions. You want that darker, dirtier water silhouette colour that gives you, like the more solid colours that give you a better silhouette. And then you also want that fluoro. And in this case, the fluoro would be our UV reactive colour. So even with that colour theory, we're covering that UV colour. So in terms of UV and non-UV, try and include a UV and a non-UV in your kit. So the non-UV might be that dark silhouette colour, it might be that clear natural colour, and then you've got that fluoro there. But there are also some more subtle UV reactive colours in the range. Colours like Houdini, where the top colour on the plastic is actually UV reactive, or something like Calico Candy, where it's the bottom section of the plastic that pops under that UV light. So let's run the torch over a few. I've got some samples laid out here. So classic non-UV colours, non-UV reactive, may be our bloodworm, our pumpkin seed, violet sparkle and shimmer pearl in our grubs, whereas those that favour the UV colours or they're looking for that UV pop, you may be looking towards the midnight oil, the watermelon red, copper penny and motor oil in those 2.5 inch grubs. And all of those are successful colours, and again, one day that bloodworm might dominate that brim comp, the next day that motor oil might dominate that brim comp, or that midnight oil with the fleck in there as well as that UV pop. And then say the 3-inch minnows, which is another very popular plastic in our range. The flathead guys, barra guys, all sorts of anglers will use those 3-inch minnows to target a variety of species. And in that series, something like the Gold Rush, the black and gold, is non-UV reactive, but it's an extremely popular dirty water colour because of that silhouette. The bad shad and the green lantern, both very natural looking baitfish colours, and then the red shad is a nice dark deep red silhouette, but it doesn't have that UV in it either. So you're utilising that silhouette colour in that dirtier, darker water. In terms of UV colours, to run through a few, our pink glow is a fluorescent pink, so that fluoro will have that UV reactive pop to it. Probably the most dominant in terms of UV colours, that motor oil again in our minnows. Then again our fluoro with our nuke chicken glow. And you talk about the nuke chicken glow or the fluoro pinks, the bright chartreuses like the sexy mullet. Those colours are also popular as you start to get into deeper water for snapper and flathead and other species when you're chasing them in deep water, because that UV light will again penetrate further into the water, giving that pop in that deeper water. So that's that nuked chicken glow colour in the minnows. The Houdini, as we said, Houdini and Calico Candy, a bit more subtle UV with half of the plastic reacting to that UV light. And then again a fluoro with the sexy penny, and then our midnight oil, which combines that natural flash and fleck with that glitter in there, and it also combines that UV pop. So in that situation, we again might be fishing our natural clear light baitfish colours in our clean water, bright days, shallow clean water. We come into that dirty darker water or a bit deeper water, and we may want to utilise those UV colours, but definitely having the non-UV and the UV in your kit will allow you to cover both bases. If they're not biting on one, change it up, try the other. But you're also not just confined to your soft plastic selection when you're looking at UV. You've also got the ability to utilise painted jig heads and utilise the UV characteristics of those as well. So for example, something like our Demons jig head. The Demons jig head is in some natural colours that we can team up with our natural baitfish coloured plastics, like the green and the golden boy. So they're two popular natural baitfish colours. Or if you want that bright pop, that fluorescent-y colour that reacts with the UV, you've got your chartreuse and your pink. So you may wish to go completely natural and put your natural head with your natural plastic. You may wish to provide some level of pop to your presentation by putting that fluoro head on your natural coloured plastic, or you may just want to go right out there. If you're getting aggressive strikes, reaction takes, and the fish are aggressive, you may want to go straight up full fluoro or UV reactive plastic with a UV reactive head, and game on. Also the Nedlocks jig heads. So the Nedlocks jig heads are available in a black, a green pumpkin, an orange and a chartreuse. So that orange and chartreuse, boom, they will provide you that pop, that really bright pop, whereas your black and green pumpkin are that more natural presentation. So if I'm up in the shallows picking around the weeds and that sort of thing, I'll predominantly fish the green pumpkin or the black. However, sometimes I want that pop, I want that bit of orange like on a yabby, and a lot of your creatures like your insects and crustaceans and fish and that sort of thing will also emit UV. They'll react to UV, so that will also attract the fish, help them find their food, as well as the vibration, the smell, those sorts of things that the fish use to find a feed. So that UV is naturally occurring in a lot of the stuff that they eat. So I will combine that orange for the UV pop with, say, a greasy prawn colour in that 2.5 inch TRD crawlers, and that gives me my yabby, my UV pop and my natural combination for hopping across the sand flats and those sorts of things. Again, we've got our painted heads with the big eyes, the TT Lures big eyes jig heads. So again, we've got a black silver, a blue pearl. Those guys, natural baitfish colours and dark silhouette colours. However, the black and the silver black also have a glow eye, which will react if you want to charge it up with black light before you're fishing. So you can hit that, charge up your eyes, and away you go. So we've got our natural baitfish colours, and then we step over to our pink and our chartreuse again, and they're our fluoros, they're our UV pop colours if we do want to change up our presentation and make it a bit more visible to the fish, or try and trigger that reaction bite from the fish. A lot of your tackle shops out there will have these UV black lights, so you can purchase one of your own if you want to run through your Z-Man Plastics selection and have a look. Make sure you're covered in terms of UV and non-UV. Some of the tackle shops will also have one there that you can use to have a look at the plastics on the walls. However, the key thing is, don't forget, we've got tournament winners in the non-UV colours, such as the bloodworms and the pearls and those sorts of things. We've also got tournament winners, competition winners in the UV colours, like that motor oil, that midnight oil. So there you go. I hope that helps with the UV debate and your understanding of the UV and the fact that most fish have those UV receptors in their eyes, and how you might be able to tap into that and utilise your UV plastics and your non-UV plastics to fish your local spots and target your local species. Get out there, get into them. Cheers.